My name is Steph and I work for the South Australian Living Artists Festival, better known as SALA. In this video, I will show you how to complete and submit a SALA Festival registration form. This is an online form and I recommend that you complete it on a laptop or a desktop computer. Before we get started, there are a few important things to note. The first is that you should only submit a registration form when you are certain that your SALA exhibition or event is going ahead. Whether you are an artist or someone representing a venue, in either case you need to be in clear agreement with the other party. So if you currently only have a tentative expression of interest from the artist or venue that you want to do SALA with, you'll need to confirm details with them before you submit your registration form. The other thing to note is that only one party needs to complete a registration form. This can be an artist, a venue representative, a curator, and so on. We don't mind who it comes from, but we only need to receive one form. All right, let's go. The screen that we are looking at here is the SALA Festival website, salafestival.com. Under the Participate tab, you will find Resources. So if you want to have a look before you do your form, I really suggest having a read through the participation resource or even just the pre-registration checklist so that you can get all of your information ready before you fill out the form. Otherwise, you can go straight to the Register Now button. We are now looking at the SALA online portal, which contains registration forms, but also award nomination forms and the artist and venue finder. I'm just going to log in, hopefully remembering my email and my password. We are now looking at the dashboard of the SALA online portal. So you can see we've got another link to resources if you find that you do actually need some help after all. Exhibition registration, that's what we're looking at right now, but you can also see awards and the artist and venue finder are on the left here for you. Now I'm going to use this button to create a brand new registration form, but I will note that we have a system where you can save a form and come back to it later, which I hope some of you will take advantage of. So if you do use that function, your draft will appear in this area down here, and you can resume filling it out when you've gone and got the information that you might have been missing. But for now, let's click here. Great, we are now looking at the SALA Festival registration form. You can see that it is divided into 7 sections up the top here. Don't be put off by that, it just helps you to know what kind of information each section will be asking for. Now there are only 3 headings on this page, so let's just get straight into it. So, agreement. This section requires you to use the hyperlinks to click and see the information that you are agreeing to. So we have the participant terms and conditions and the First Nations rights policy. So you can read them both and then use the tick boxes to agree. Registration information. Now, if you've never done SALA before, you will be a new registrant. If you've done it maybe 1 or 2 years, you'll be a return registrant. And if you've done it for 3 years or longer, you'll be seasonal. So let's just say that we're new. The event type. Now this is pretty straightforward. If you are having an exhibition, you simply need to select how many artists will be in that exhibition. If you are not having an exhibition per se, but you are just going to open up your studio at a certain point during the festival for people to come and visit and maybe see artists at work, you will select Open Studio. Please be aware that if you do select this, you need to run the decision past anyone else who is working in your studio so that they know that it's happening and are okay with people coming into their space. Education, this one is for kindergartens, preschools, primary schools, secondary schools, and of course R to 12 schools, any combination there. This registration option is one that doesn't incur a fee. That's kindly covered by our education partner, Credit Union SA. And the final option is special events. So this might be something that's not attached to an exhibition, but might be something like an artist talk or maybe a competition. If you want a bit of assistance about what this means and where your event fits into, you can give us a call or an email at the office. You have the option to upgrade to a premium registration. So that means that in the printed guide, you will be guaranteed to have an image alongside your listing, and you'll have a longer exhibition description. You can do that by, once you've selected your event type, you then tick premium registration and it will adjust the price accordingly, but there's no obligation to do that. The promo code is something that the majority of you will not have to worry about, so I'm just going to leave that. The next section is for the primary contact person. So if you are the person organising this exhibition or event, you should be the one whose details go here. Please let us know if you are an artist, if you are the curator of the exhibition in question, you might be a representative from a gallery or a venue, or you might be something else. So I'm just going to fill in with my work details. You'll obviously have to type yours in. And then down here we've got a section so that if you are curating an exhibition or organising an exhibition that has multiple artists, we would love for you to put the artists' emails here just so that communication doesn't get lost and everyone is informed about what's going on. So you can just type in an email address for your artist one at a time and use that save email button to add them here. And then you can save and continue. The next section is artist information. So here we would like you to enter your artist names. Let's pretend I'm one of them. And just use the save artist button to make sure that that goes through. We would love for you to name all of your artists so that they are searchable in the program. However, we understand that sometimes privacy means that they cannot be named, in which case you might use a collective name. So you might say residents of, or students of your school or group, and that's a perfectly fine way to do that as well. Please indicate the number of artists in your exhibition or event. You can use the clicker up here, or I believe you can just type it in. This is a new section here to the form, and we're simply asking you to find out how many artists in your exhibition or event align with the following categories. Now, it may be that some people align with more than one. For example, a young person might also be a student. If you can just put a bit of effort into finding out, that would be greatly appreciated. It helps with our reporting and understanding where we can provide more participant support. Once you've done that, just hit save and continue. All right, let's work through exhibition information. Up the top here, we've got experience. So you need to self-nominate here. Amateur, I would say, is someone for whom art is a hobby. Emerging could be someone who's recently graduated from art school or is in the first 5 years of their practice. Established would be someone for whom art is a career. And mixed group is a great catch-all if you have a group exhibition with varying levels of experience. Now for the medium, I strongly encourage you to tick as many of these checkboxes as are relevant. So you might have more than one media in your exhibition, and getting that as accurate as possible helps you to be more discoverable in the online program. Now the title, obviously you can put almost anything you'd like, but we do strongly recommend that you avoid putting the word SALA, the year, and the artist's name in the title, because those things will all be quite evident where the exhibition is listed. So, Bob's 2021 SALA exhibition doesn't really tell you a lot about the content of the show, so try and have a bit of a think on that before you commit to something. I am putting this as my title today, my imagined watercolor skills. And description, we've got 2 boxes here. One of these is for the print program, which will need to be a very succinct little description because we try and fit quite a lot of listings into our printed guide. So 15 words for a standard registration we've got, and I have had a little play in a Word document that I'll just show you here. So I'm going to copy and paste what I've already had a bit of a draft of, and that should be bang on 15 words. So just something short that gives a little bit away. It doesn't matter if you write in the first person or the third person, whatever's more comfortable for you. And then in the exhibition description for web, you are welcome to, go for it. If you want to add lots of extra information, that's great. You can have a bit about your artists' biographies and, what their work is usually about. It would be really great to hear a bit more about the theme or what motivated the work. It's really good to be a bit generous in this section, so have a little bit more there. Also, if there's anything you need to communicate about accessing the exhibition or event, so whether there is a paid entry fee or gold coin donation or something like that, or if it's a school whether people need to sign in at reception, any of those kinds of things, this is a great place to put that information as well. Now down here we've got web address, so if you're having a solo exhibition, it'll be quite obvious that if you've got a website for your artwork, that's a great place to put that. So I'm going to use my website. Now, if you can copy that URL and come back to your form and then paste it there, you'll see that it's automatically put this little prefix in, and that's really important for that link to work. So please use that method instead of just typing it in. So now we'll save that. Excellent. So that's gone through. Event type. Most of you will be ticking exhibition, although some of you might be ticking online exhibition. And you can tick more than one here. So you might be having an exhibition at your studio, but you want people to be able to find the venue as an open studio so that they can, come and see artists at work. So you could tick both that way, or you might have an artist talk as well, or any of these other things. So feel free to tick as many as are relevant. Now there's a few more tick boxes here. So if you would like to sell work at your exhibition, absolutely tick that one. And it doesn't matter whether work is sold through the venue or whether the venue defers sales to the artist. That is fine either way. I think family friendly is pretty easily explained. Hopefully your venue will be able to speak to the wheelchair accessibility. Companion card is mainly for exhibitions or events where there is a fee to enter, or if there's a workshop or something accompanying it that has a fee involved. So whether a companion card is accepted and allows a companion to enter for free. Closed captions are particularly relevant to moving image works, or if you have an artist talk online, please let us know if there will be captions for any spoken word parts, so that we know about the accessibility of those events. Now, publicity is a really fun section. Basically, we are giving you a direct line to SALA's publicist. So please don't just copy and paste your description from above. What we want you to do is use dot points, and anything that you can think of that might make for a good publicity angle, put it in there. So there was one in the past where there was 3 generations of artists in the one exhibition. That's a great media angle. Maybe your artwork is made out of a really interesting material, or maybe you have just won a prize and this is your first solo exhibition after that. Anything that you think could be interesting for a media outlet to run a story on your work or your show, please put it in there. It doesn't matter if it's a bit of guesswork. Just make sure that it's as succinct as possible so that our publicist isn't reading for the rest of their days. And they will do their best to champion your exhibition to the media. All right, additional activities. So this is where you can add little extras to your exhibition or event. So a really popular one might be an artist talk, but you could also do a workshop or do a demonstration of the kind of way that you make your artwork, a performance, or something else entirely. Let's say that I'm going to do an artist talk. And just make sure you get the right month. So use this little navigator here to get through to August for the most part. And let's say, and we need to click on the little clock here to get the time. So let's say that it's 10, oops, get back in here, 10:30, oh my goodness. And no, I want AM, so I'll just click that until it says the right thing and click out and just check back that that's all that I wanted. Important details, so let's just say it is free, and let's say booking required. Now I recommend using Eventbrite if you want to, easily organize bookings for an event. So let's pretend that that is the link. Obviously you'll make up your own. You can copy and paste it in there and then hit save, and that all looks like it's worked. So all right, and let's just do one more. Oh, come on. Let's say that we're doing a workshop. It can be basic watercolor techniques with stuff. Oh my goodness. And let's say that it is in August. Let's say it's the 14th. We'll go to our little clock. And I just realized instead of using the arrows, you can click on that and it will round off into quite neat little numbers. So let's say it was 11:30 and AM is what we want. So I'll click out of that and make sure that all looks correct. And then we need to say, how much it is per person. Definitely booking required. Please bring notepad and smock. All other materials provided. Tea and coffee provided. How's that? And then we're going to, you would use your actual Eventbrite link. This is just our pretend one. So put that in there and save that as well. Perfect. Now we can save and continue. Powering through venue information. If you are having an online exhibition or event, you get to tick this tick box up the top, which will grey out all the irrelevant information, and then you simply need to provide your web link and a Facebook link if you'd like to. Now again, you need to use the technique where you go to the link in a new tab and then copy and paste the URL so that you get the little prefix. Prefixes might be HTTP or they might be HTTPS, and the easiest way to figure that out is just to use that method. But if you are not having an online exhibition or event, if you are having your thing at a physical venue, then you get to fill in all of the little fields. So let's say we are having our exhibition at the Purple Cafe. Excuse my lack of imagination here. And it is a hospitality space. It does not require payment to enter. Now this little section here about the venue stickers, every registration gets a venue sticker, and for most events that is enough because you can put it on the front door and that's all great. However, some venues have multiple entrances or might be tricky to find, in which case you are welcome to request additional stickers at a cost of $5 plus GST. So you can add them in there, but if you are going to be happy with one, just leave it at 0. Now we need you to nominate a contact at the venue who is aware of the exhibition or event that's going on, that we can keep informed that way. So let's say it is our lovely Christina who works in the office. I'm just using our office numbers here, but what am I doing? So you'll obviously be entering your venue's address and, yes, the contact person that you've spoken to about this event. If you are a venue filling this out, you can obviously put yourself. So same thing with Facebook links. Make sure you've got the prefix. You could put Instagram. And then most importantly, you need to put the address. So and again, this is just the SALA office. And now we're going to hit the location. And hopefully, great. So it's dropped a pin on the map almost where I want it. SALA Festival is actually there. So you can reposition that one. And what that will do is we have an app, the SALA app, and there is a map feature on there that has pins for all of the exhibitions that are registered. So if someone is, walking around town or wherever they may be and they think, I've got some spare time, I'm going to go see a SALA exhibition, they might see that they're really close to yours and pop in. So try and get that as accurate as is reasonable as well. Now down here we've got delivery address. So I mentioned the sticker before, the venue sticker. In addition to that, we will also send you some of the printed programs and also some of our posters for 2021. And it would be great if we can send that to the venue, just so that we don't have to send it to someone else who then takes it to the venue. We want to minimize that double handling. However, if your venue is open strange hours, or if that's just asking a bit much, you can of course put a delivery address that is someone else's. So but let's just say that Christina is our recipient. Oops. Cool. And then we can say, please leave with front desk, or please use doorbell, etc. Please be aware that we cannot phone in advance or deliver on specific days or times. So if there's no safe place to leave it, then please provide a different address. And we absolutely cannot have these delivered to PO boxes. So have a chat through with your team and whoever else is exhibiting with you, and see what will be best and safest for those to be delivered. And once you've done that, you can save and continue. Okay, dates and times. Let's do this. First of all, we've got our start date. Now it defaults to the 1st of August. That is not what you need to stick to. I'm going to say that my starting date is the Monday 2nd, and maybe I'll be installing on the Sunday. Now it does push it into August because it's after our start date. I'm going to say it ends on the 28th. Now you can have a single day if you want. You can start and end on the same day. There's no stipulation about how long your SALA exhibition has to go for. It can go for 1 hour if you really want, as long as it's open at some point during August. That's all we need from you. Now, with the hours that your venue is open, if you are an online exhibition, you can just hit viewable 24/7. That's great. We've got this until late option, and I'll get to what the closed one is for in a minute. But start off with the easy stuff. If you are having your show at a venue that is open 9 to 5, Monday to Friday, you pick all of the days that have the same time. So Monday to Friday. And then we'll go 9 till 5. And then that bit's good. That's all done. If it's also open on Saturdays at a different time, we're going to add another set of days and times. Hit the Saturday, and maybe it's 8:30 till 4:30. And that's all gravy. Let's say it's open Sundays as well. Maybe 12 noon till 4:30. That's great. but maybe there's a wedding at the venue on one of those weekends, and you need to make an exception. Let's go and say there's a Sunday that it's closed, and it's so this goes by the Monday. So Monday the 16th will be Sunday the 22nd. Let's say that's when the wedding is. So that's how you work around any of those little funny things, those little red herrings that sort of throw off the simplicity of the opening hours. That's how it's done. So on Sunday the 22nd of August, it is closed. And otherwise it's 12 till 4:30 on Sundays. That's how we get around that. I hope that makes sense. If not, you can let us know if you need some assistance. The opening event date, that sort of refers to an opening night more so, which is completely optional. We understand that this might not be the year that you want to do an opening soiree, but if you do, now what did I say? We're in March up here. Let's go down to August. Now I've said that my event runs from the 2nd to I think the 28th, but maybe if I install quick enough on the Sunday, I could do a little opening night. I won't adjust my start date to the 1st, because if people come on Sunday hours 12 till 4:30, I might still be installing. But if I am done by 6, maybe I'll say 6 till 8, I can have a little opening event then. So it's as simple as that. And once you've done that, you can save and continue. Right, here we are at the image upload section. So just a note about your images. So you need a minimum of 1, but we recommend you having 2 so that when people are browsing the online program, it will cycle through the 2 just to show a bit more of the event and the exhibition. Premium registrations can have up to 3 images, and premium registrations, the primary image that you nominate is the one that will be shown in the printed program. So that's part of the benefit of getting a premium registration, is that you're guaranteed to have your image featured in print. The images need to be JPEG or PNG file formats, and the file size needs to be less than 10 megabytes. So I'll go over that in just a minute. If you haven't finished making your artwork yet and you don't know what to use as an image, you could use an image of very similar artwork that you've made. You could put an image up of the work in progress. But yeah, we really do need an image of an artwork by the artists that are in the exhibition. Stock images are not permitted, and logos and posters are not permitted. Even though it's great if you do want to make a poster for your event, unfortunately that cannot be the image that we use. Let me find an image before I alright, so I've got an image of an artwork, really high res, and it's a TIFF file, so I already know that I can't upload that. So excuse me as I figure out what to do. So if you don't have a program like Photoshop but you've got a TIFF file, you can use, I'm going to use Photopea. I think it's just .com, which is sort of a free online version of Photoshop. I'm going to drag and drop it in, and it should handle any kind of image file. Now, how do I do this? I think I go File, Export As, let's just go JPEG because it's nice and easy. That sounds good. And then I'm gonna show in Finder. Found it over here. I'm going to, so many windows. So here's the one that I've now got, the downloaded one. Bring it back to my computer. So now we can see we've got a JPEG. So if I go back to the registration form and try, great, so it's highlighted because it's an acceptable format in JPEG, so I'm going to try that. And I really thought it was going to tell me that the file was too big. Let's try uploading it and see if it does. Oh, okay, needs my details first. All right, All right. So I'm going to give it a title. It's a photograph. I can't remember the dimensions, so I'm going to skip that. Only the ones with the stars, the asterisks, are required. Let's try that again. And you just need to let it think. Okay, I really thought it was going to tell me that the file was too big. Let's just pretend that it did. So if it comes back and says your image is over the maximum size of 10 megabytes, let's try reduce image size, online free. Let's see what comes up. Reduceimages.com. You sound like a good option. Okay, let me find that image again. So let's drag and drop. Yep, that's the one I want. So maybe we would reduce it to 75%. JPEG sounds good. Maybe we'll go 95. Resize that. And then it spits out a new one. Great, and the limit is actually 10 megabytes, so we are way under, but just for the purposes of showing. So if you got yours back and it said it was 11 megabytes, not kilobytes, obviously, I imagine you could come back and adjust. So go down a few percent, resize. Great, and it spits out a new one. And then you would use this little green download button. You can see it pop up here. Then you could show it in Finder. So now it's in my downloads. And I could say, this is the one that's been shrunk. Bring it over to my files, and then I can return to images, and if that one hadn't have worked, I could then go and find it at the new size. So that's a free online way of doing that image reduction. All right, let's say photograph. Let's have a look. All right, I've got this picture of a tree at night with the moon in the background. Maybe I want to zoom in a little bit. I can use this here to zoom in. It's probably a bit too obscure, so maybe I get that nice framing with the trees. Unfortunately, we do have to crop everything square so that our program doesn't look ridiculous. Square format it is, so be mindful of that when you select an image. So let's just go upload. And it will take a second. Try to just be patient while it thinks it over, and eventually it will update. So let's just say tree and moon. But maybe I want to keep this as my primary image, and this can just be a secondary one. So that's all looking good. And now I can save and continue. We've come to the last section of the form, which is donation. This particular part is not mandatory, that's why it defaults to 0. But if you would like to make a donation to the SALA Festival organisation, it would be greatly appreciated, of course, and goes towards us better supporting artists and making the festival as good as it can be. So that's in that little section up there, and if you do make a donation, it will just be tallied onto your total, including your registration fee. And we've just also got a little note about the awards. So you don't have to do anything right now, but just to let you know the kind of awards that we have on offer. And once you have submitted your registration, you will be able to enter those for free. These are just for participating SALA Festival artists. So it's definitely worth you having a bit of a look at the different criteria, and it's quite easy to enter. It's done in the same portal. It's done through this awards bit over here. So once we've done here, that's something I recommend you do. So now we get to this point and say you can either save and exit if you think that there might be something that you've missed, or you just want to just check something before you commit it to sending it over to us. Great, now I'm going to submit by clicking that button, and it will show me a little bit of a condensed version of what we might have in the printed program. So that kind of core information. As you can see, we have the short version of my description, got dates, etc. Those little extra events that I said I was going to have, and all the basics, the venue, the mediums, my experience level, things like that. So I'm going to say, yep, I understand that this information will be published and I'm happy for it to be, and that it's as correct as I can manage. Now, what you might have is you might get thrown back into the form, and what the reason for that is that there's something missing that we can't push the form into submission until you fix it. So for me, I forgot to put zeros on the unapplicable bits of the form. So now all of these sections are all present here as one page, so we can scroll through and it will highlight and tell you the things that are wrong. So I don't have any of these categories in my exhibition, but I needed to put 0 to say that I'd thought about that. So now I'm going to go through and check that nothing else is highlighted orange. All looks pretty good. Great, so I'll come back and try that again. And that's worked. So we're not finished yet. You're not done. You need to carry through this step. So this is the submit and pay page. You either need to pay with credit card, and 125 is the early bird price for a solo exhibition. So that's where that comes from. So I can enter my details up here and then click that button, or you can pay with invoice, and you will need to hit this button in order for it to be pushed through. Hooray! So now you're done. Sorry there's no confetti or fireworks, but you should be taken back to this sort of dashboard page, which is the same thing as if you click on exhibition registration. And now just draw your attention to my exhibition registration forms, this little chart down here. Now hopefully you will have a line that has this grey view button and the name of your exhibition and a green yes under submitted. So if that's what you can see, it all went through, it's all gravy, congratulations. So you'll notice that you don't have an edit button, it will just say view. That is because it's gone over to SALA, and now one of our staff will do a bit of a spell check and just confirm that it all looks good before we sort of approve that listing and start getting it prepared to go in the printed guide and in the online program as well. So that's a bit exciting. If you haven't received your email invoice, it's probably in a junk folder somewhere, but you can click on view invoice to get that there, and then you can triple check the amount, and then you can pay that as soon as is reasonably possible using the details on the side. So I'll just go back here. And I also want to point out that if you used the save and exit button, your draft will be somewhere in there as well. It will not say that it is submitted, and it will still have this edit button. So you can come back to your draft registrations that way. So just in exhibition registration within the portal, and just click that edit button. You might end up with, if you get a bit trigger happy on this button here, you might end up with quite a few, in which case you are welcome to delete those drafts if you've had a bit of an accident there. But otherwise, I think that's pretty much everything. So best of luck registering. If you need any assistance, feel free to call the office. I'll put the numbers up on the screen for you. And yay, we're looking forward to having you. Bye.